Hey, we just arrived here in Yosemite and I'm going to shoot this entire weekend with nothing but a 20mm lens. Just 20mm. I think it'll be exciting to do, so I'm going to get started. Let's go shoot. Hey everybody, this is JP Morgan. We're out here in Yosemite. We came to Yosemite this weekend for a couple of reasons. The moon is going to be up, rising, full moon, just as the sun goes down. But the real reason we're here is to check out the 20mm Sony mount. This is a great offering from Tamron. This entire range of lenses, they've got a 24, 35, and now the 20, is a 2.8. They're all 2.8. They're on the exact same barrel size. So you have about a 2.5-inch lens, which makes them very compact, very small. You know, 20mm is an interesting lens because it's either about getting you more, showing more, and a lot of times, like I was shooting some shots here of El Capitan, and I wanted to see the reflection in the water, and I wanted to see El Capitan. That 20mm was exactly what I needed to be able to get all of that in a single shot. It's also fabulous because I did a horizontal kind of panoramic view of El Capitan right here with the bright rock in the background and the shadowy trees in the foreground with that 20mm. It looked fabulous. So this 20mm really is about getting more into the frame. That's one aspect, but the real aspect of a 20mm lens, the real reason that you use a 20mm lens, I think, is to force the perspective. You want things in the foreground close and make a strong subject matter statement in the foreground, and then the background pushes deep and interesting back there. So it's about creating a forced perspective. That's really what you want. The other thing about this lens is really fabulous. It's a 1.2 macro lens, which means you can get in super close, 4.3 inches. You can focus 4.3 inches from your subject matter, which does give you that ability with a 20mm lens to give that forced deep perspective. That's something up close to you, like a flower or whatever in the foreground, but then you get that really deep background. And if you want to pull your focus, you can, so everything falls out of focus, or go a little deeper focus, f11, f16, and you can see everything from that subject matter up front into deep focus into the background. So you get that 2.8, which is fast. I mean, there are faster 20mm out there, but what I love about this series from Tamron, everything they've done from their 35, their 24, their 20, their 17 to 28, 28 to 75, and soon coming the 75 to 180. I just love the fact that the form factor is so small. So the lens doesn't have anything to switch to autofocus or manual focus on the lens. That's what keeps it so small. All you do is you simply touch the back of the FN button on the back of your Sony. It's going to give you a menu, and in that menu for focus, you go to manual or to autofocus. So it can either be single frame autofocus, continuous autofocus, or manual. Once you go to manual, then this is going to work on the front just like any manual focus would go. So that's really what's made this. There's no internal stabilization in these. You'll stabilize in your camera if you have a lot of the Sonys, and just really made to be able to be on a Sony camera. This has been a lot of fun to be here in Yosemite and to see this valley through the perspective of a 20mm lens. Such an interesting perspective that gives you a lot, but also can get in tight on things and give you a forced perspective. We played with all those things. Let's get a little review of the weekend. First off, we start at Sentinel Bridge. Here's some of the images we shot there at night as the sun had already gone down. You see the moon coming up, those gorgeous wide images of the water in the foreground and the sun and the moon in the background. Next morning we were out and we shot a lot of El Capitan reflecting in the water, which was beautiful because in that wide view, you can get in there and you can see foreground and way up in El Capitan, which was so huge. Those were beautiful. Here's some of those. Then that night we came up here to Valley View. This is one of my favorite spots because you're looking out at El Capitan into that whole valley and you got the water and rocks in the foreground. Then this morning we played around over at the lodge. We went over to the lodge and I shot a lot of images just in the lodge with mixed light. I love mixed light. You got tungsten and daylight, got that cool and warmth. I shot some shots with a phone that I really loved. You get that curl of the cord coming towards the camera. You got the phone and the lamp in the background, which gives you some depth with that color. That was a lot of fun. Plus, with this 20mm lens, architecturally, it gave me the ability to shoot in those spaces and just give me a great, huge vista of the lodge and to be able to play with that. I love using a 20mm because it makes me see the world differently. Most people don't usually get this wide. Most people don't get much wider than 24. So this just gives you that look at the world that's so interesting. We shot some stuff of a fence and some other places where we're playing with that forced perspective. Things up front, that's Valley View, that's exactly what we got. Things up front, things deep. So we're back from Yosemite and it's time to process images. This is always the exciting part for me because you get to see exactly what you got, which I love doing. I have been using Luminar since the software came out. They have recently become a sponsor here at the Slanted Lens. The reason I've used them is a couple of things, and one is that it's quick. You can make quick changes and apply them. It's very easy to make those changes. I don't have to go through a lot of steps to get there. The software really has done and put a lot of those steps in for me, so I can go through my images a lot quicker. I can use it either as a plug-in to Photoshop or I can use it as a standalone. I'm going to use it as a standalone today. So let's get started. With my image here, normally I would go underneath the light mode here and I would start messing with exposure and highlights and shadows and all that. But really what I'm going to go to is the AI Enhance. And as I push this all the way over, that's going to do a lot of what I want to do to this image because it's understanding the image, it's reading the information there, and it's giving a pretty good look because I want to open the shadows in the foreground. I don't want to blow out the highlights in the background. And that just gives me a nice, just a great starting point. So I'm going to go in here now, I'm going to go back to the light, and I'm just going to open the exposure up just a little bit. I want that mountain just a little bit brighter for me. All right, so I'm going to go back up to the light module now, and I'm going to hit the detail enhancer. I'm going to sharpen this to be about 30%. And blow it up so I can take a look at the as it comes in. All right, I'm going to leave Essentials now. I'm going to go back down to the Pro. I'm going to come here to Color Enhancer. And under the hue, I want to just mess with the blue in the sky, a little bit of the foreground. So I'm going to set this on my blue level here, and then I'm going to cool that off a little bit and just make that look a little more nice and blue. So there's the work I did on the image in my first layer. And then there is adding just a little bit of that warmth. I'm at 12%. I'm going to make it really warm if I wanted to, but that's not good. Keep it 12%. And I'm feeling like that's pretty awesome there. I don't want to mess with that anymore. So these images I shot with that 20mm are just fabulous. They're sharp and they give you just a great view. I love the color on these images. And with Luminar, I'm able to kind of punch things up even a little more and give me a great image. So there we have it, processing with Luminar. You'll see us doing this a lot because it's fast and it's easy, it's powerful. It just makes it simple for me to get in, make some quick corrections, and to move on. So I love it for that reason. So now we're back here at Valley View as we're about to head out of the valley. The sun just opened up on the mountains in the back of us. Gorgeous shots again with that forced perspective in the foreground and the valley in the background. But loved using this lens. It's just a small, compact lens, 2.5 inches at 1:2 macro, which allows you to get like 4.3 inches away from your subject matter. And it's just light. It's a great beginning lens for people at under $350. Great place to start and be able to play and experiment with a 20mm lens. You know, also, you might want to check out, Shane Walls and I did a landscape photography download. If you get over to theslantlens.com and click on courses, you'll find that download there. It'll teach you exactly how to get great landscape photography from a master at it, which is Shane Walls. So check that out, it'll be very beneficial to you. For this closing, we're trying to bounce the light on my face with the light that's on Bridal Veil Falls in the background. So we brought out 3 of the Litras and clustered those together, and that gave us a nice light on my face, which really helped us to be able to bounce those out. Those LitraStudios are so easy to travel with, small form, easy to carry around, got a battery, put them up and use them out on location, fabulous. Just been a great weekend, time to head back to LA, head back to the warm. So keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking.